On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're talking the Texas Longhorns playoff odds or chances. How are they going to get there? What's the road to it? And we make our playoffs round 4 Texas high school football picks. Longhorns fans and high school football fans, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated, and check us out at HornSports.com for all of our work. Now, Dylan, to begin, this is the video about the path, the road ahead, the journey to be had. I don't know what other metaphor, simile I can come up with for the Texas Longhorns to get to that college football playoff that has been elusive for this franchise, for lack of a better word, for some time now, Dylan, of course, since the introduction of it. However, Dylan, I know there's stuff to be broken down, but an easy way to just sum it up is every Texas Longhorns fan needs to be a Louisville Cardinal fan this weekend. Now, what do you think about that?
I just want that was a great second slate of games following the game between Ohio State
Oh,
and
it was
Michigan.
awesome.
So much was happening. What were the game? I think Washington was playing Washington State at that time.
I think Alabama was later, right?
I think it was the same time. So you were going back in between those, and BYU was giving Oklahoma State a run for their money, which in Texas fans' case, Devon, Oklahoma was knocking on that doorstep if Oklahoma State lost to BYU. Luckily, they were able to pull that one out, but there was a lot going on there. I had the YouTube TV multi-screen thing going on, not to flex or
That's a
anything, but I had
flex.
4 games going on.
Sponsorship?
My eyes were going different ways. Yeah,
Oh,
feel free to
gosh.
sponsor. Give me a free subscription. But yeah, there was so much going on, and obviously, no upsets really happened. The only change in anything was Ohio State losing to Michigan, which was expected. One of those teams was going to lose, right? So you already knew going into that one of them was going to fall. So there would be somewhat of movement, but then the AP poll comes out, and Ohio State stays in front of Texas. I know that doesn't matter, but it kind of shows you where Texas still ranks, right? And they're still not going to move Alabama over it. But yeah, you got to put your Louisville Cardinal hat on. And looking at how it might shape out and how much cultural playoff loves Oregon, Devon, because they are a very good team, Washington winning is the best case for Texas. I think the big two things are Louisville winning, which they definitely can, and Washington beating Oregon, because the moment that you have a Oregon winning, a Alabama beating Georgia, you have a mess going on there of just 12-1 teams with Big Ten, or not Big Ten, with conference championship wins.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of scenarios there.
Well, if Oregon wins, just to get hypothetical, because we like getting hypothetical, of course, Longhorns fans, the most important thing I forgot to mention, but of course, even more important than Louisville winning is Texas winning against Oklahoma State. That has to happen. That goes without being said. Of course, also, in addition to winning, which is the most important thing, if we're gonna go up in our hierarchy of needs and get in a little bit more in terms of wants versus needs, a Texas win big would be even bigger for Texas. But Dylan, like you said, if Oregon wins, things get chaotic. I mean, Washington's best win. I find it hard to believe that Washington would still make it in the playoff if they lost. But they'd still be a one-loss team and could still fight for some sort of consideration with their best loss at that point being an Oregon team in the championship game, if that happens. Louisville, that's a given in terms of any hope for Texas. Of course, with the Jordan Travis injury for Florida State, it's unfortunate for that young quarterback and the Seminoles, but it does open the door, or at least leave it open a crack. However, if you guys were paying attention to all these slates of games that Dylan was talking about, the Cardinals lost to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So now they're going to have to bounce back from that loss to Kentucky. And speaking of Mark Stoops, Dylan, but never mind. A&M. Oh, never mind. So after losing to Kentucky, they have to pick it up and beat Florida State in the championship game. It's going to be a tough one to be had, Dylan. It's shaping up to be one of the best, I think, weekends in college football history. There's a lot that can go on.
I was about to say, what do you prefer? I mean, Texas playing in the early game here, so you kind of just take care of business and then see what unfolds afterwards, or being the late game here, because that's going to be, if Texas takes care takes care of business like we're talking about against Oklahoma
Then it'll be
State,
almost more
you got to stress them
nerve-wracking
out.
watching the rest of the college football games.
A lot more on
That's
the line.
true,
You're not
but
playing
you know,
free.
I like a good early game. You set the tone and then just watch it all unfold. Because at this point, Dylan, of course, as fans, we have no control. But also as a team,
No.
other than winning on Saturday, you have no control over any of the outcomes. So it doesn't really matter what time you're going to be playing. You know, you did what you have to do. Of course, that loss to Oklahoma in October in the Red River game, it did not shape up well for Texas. It's going to haunt them potentially.
Well, and that's just the scenarios. Because I mean, I'd love your opinion on this, but if you've got Georgia winning out, you have Michigan winning against Iowa, you have Oregon beating Washington, and then you have Louisville beating Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you putting in there? Like, who do you think is better when you look at the Washington Oregon? You're looking at a 12-1 Washington team,
Mm-hmm.
a 12-1 Pac-12 championship game winner in Oregon, and then you've got the Big 12 winner in Texas. Out of those three, who are the two that get in? The way the committee has shown it, and eye test wise, Devin, you can give me the Texas Tech similar opponent here, but
Similar
I think
opponent.
Oregon is the better team against Texas. I think Oregon matches up extremely well against Texas. They're a better kind of Oklahoma team in which they have a quarterback who can throw and run that we know in Texas's case they
That's
do
the
not stack
kryptonite.
up well against. Yes, exactly. And Oregon has a great defense as well. So I think Oregon gets the push there, and then you're just looking at Washington and Texas and how you feel about both teams. I would give non-biased and what we see in the games that we've watched. I think Texas is better than Washington, but Washington's body of work and the teams that they've played against and the ability to win, they've got that going for them. So it's hard to tell.
Well, I think for Washington, as the years unfolded, they've just kind of slowly deteriorated. They're still, of course, top four team, but in terms of like a guaranteed shot at it, it's getting a little shakier. Their defense has left something to be desired for sure.
Oh my! You can move whatever you want to do on Washington's defense. You can do it. I'm telling you that right now.
But to go back to your initial question in Oregon, yeah, that's a tough one because I can't argue that Oregon doesn't look better eye test wise. Of course, Dylan, common opponent Texas Tech, the Longhorns beat 57-7. Oregon had to
what week did they
squeak.
play Tech? What
Had to
week?
squeak by. I don't answer to those, but of course, common opponent. I think though, in terms of just resume, I'd still pick Texas above Oregon presently. Now with the win over Washington, potentially in the championship game for the Pac-12 this weekend, then Oregon for sure I think deserves the spot over Texas. However, we'll have to see if that scenario plays out. Right now, I would still, yet again, I'm trying to leave the bias aside because I'm saying like if I think Texas right now should be ranked above Oregon, but if Oregon wins, I think they should be ranked above. Just how it's
Yeah, I
going to
mean, see,
shake
that's
out.
where I don't agree because when you look at common opponents and whatnot between Washington and Oregon, Washington, I believe, the point differential in which they were beating teams similar to Oregon was like 7 points. Then when you look at how Oregon is beating the similar opponents, they're beating them by an average point differential of like 27. So they've been dominating teams. They lost that obviously head to head, which does matter. I think they've done it right with Washington staying over Oregon for the time being. But this Oregon team, if they beat Washington, and Texas is 12-1 as well. They're not. Texas is not jumping Oregon. They're just. This is not happening.
Yeah, no, I think we're in agreement there, right? I think if Oregon wins, Texas does not jump Oregon. However, with that being said, as we've talked about in the past two or three renditions of this, Texas has faced a better strength of schedule and has the better win right now. Of course, they have the worst loss, but at this point, I think Texas deserves that spot above them, but it won't matter after this Saturday because things are going to happen one way or another, and you're not going to be comparing really those two teams most likely. Like I said, if Oregon wins, they're going to be ranked above Texas, and if Oregon loses, of course, they're going to be on the other side of things. But to sum up everything, I know it's a fun discussion to have. Texas needs a win against Oklahoma State. Louisville needs to beat Florida State. And then at that point, just you got to enjoy college football and the trials and tribulations. It's going to be nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
Longhorns fans, even win or loss. The game itself will be nerve-wracking, potentially. But watching other games will also be that way. Now, Dylan, we're getting into our picks Playoffs, round 4 for the Texas high school football teams. The first one we've got is no stranger to our picks. 6A D1, yes, now we've broken into D1 and D2. Number 20, Atascocita versus number 1, North Shore. I have North Shore.
Devin, I know they probably don't want any pity, but Atascocita, they had a great win against Houston. Lamar won 34-14 last week. And lo and behold, they just seemingly always get North Shore in their way. And I don't see it changing this year. I got North Shore in this one as well. Next one, Devin, we have a great matchup. 6A D1, number 21, Lake Travis against number 3, Westlake. I don't think those rankings reflect how good Lake Travis has been, Devin. I don't think they're the 21st ranked team right now, the way they're playing. They faced each other earlier in the season. Westlake pulled it off. But Devin, this is not the same Westlake team that you're used to.
It was a close game.
Yeah, defense matters between these two and the way they've been playing. So I don't know if you had any extra thoughts on that. But Devin, to get to my point,
I don't know who you're picking.
I got Lake Travis with the upset in this one. I think that they are a good team. They've been playing well in these playoffs. And this Westlake team is beatable. And you don't want to see a rival again, especially after beating them earlier in the season.
Hey, that would be big for Lake Travis. And like you said, I don't know I wouldn't say Westlake's worse than they were before. They're probably about the same in terms of when they met against Lake Travis earlier in the season. But as you said, right now Lake Travis looks to be better than they were earlier in the year. Of course, there's a quarterback change. Caden Leon is now moved to receiver, and he's actually, Dylan, been a pretty good receiver for Lake Travis, shockingly. Maybe they should have done this earlier in the year because now the offense is getting together things. But even more importantly than the offense, the defense. I believe it was 2 rounds ago. I think they had like 5 or 6 interceptions. Maybe that was last weekend. It was crazy for them. All that being said, though, you know what? Innocent until proven guilty, Dylan. I'm picking Westlake until they prove me wrong. And I don't know. I just think it's tough to say otherwise at this moment in time. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Next game we have. This is a tough one. 6A D2 now. We got number 10 South Lake Carroll versus number 7 Byron Nelson. Now, Dylan, this might just be my bias showing. As 2 Carroll grads, it's inherent in our nature, of course, to secretly want South Lake to win. It's just how it is. I'm not going to run from that. But that being said, I am an objective audience. But with that being said, see, now we got all these twists and turns. These two are district rivals. Carroll and Nelson have played all the same teams. And Carroll, it looked like they had that one blip in their schedule, was that Byron Nelson game. And Byron Nelson came and took it to Carroll, proving us wrong. But can they prove us wrong 2 times, Dylan? Can they do it twice? I got Carroll in this one just because they've got that extra motivation. And now, if you're going to want to win in this matchup, what a better time to do it the second time around in a playoff game. I got Carroll.
Yeah. Thank you, Devin, for that long-winded kind of, what are you, the college football playoff committee, the way that you're just looking at everything. But
you're welcome.
I got to agree. In this case, it's an offense versus defense kind of matchup. South Lake Carroll's got the better offense. Byron Nelson has the better defense, right? So we'll see which one wins. I wouldn't want Riley Dodge getting a second look at your defense. And I know that is what South Lake Carroll is looking forward towards. The mistakes they were making against Byron Nelson during the regular season, they're going to be able to fix that, look at the film. And this is an offense that when it's working, they can put up numbers the same way that they destroyed Highland Park last week. So if I'm Byron Nelson, I was not looking for this matchup. This is going to be a great game, but I do have South Lake Carroll taking this one home. Next one, we have 6AD2, number 15, Dripping, number 7, Cibolo Steel. Devin, I like this Cibolo Steel team. I know they had that loss, I believe, to Lake Travis this year, but it was a competitive game. Dripping Springs as well. Common opponent, I believe they beat Lake Travis pretty handedly during the regular season. But this Cibolo Steel team, I like the way they play. The Dripping Springs offense, been off and on at times. So I got Cibolo Steel in this one.
Well, we saw Dripping Springs against Del Valley, and they did still end up blowing up the Del Valley Cardinal, unfortunately.
Thanks to that defense, though.
Del Valley. But thanks to that defense, and that was a second quarter affair, the offense was not doing its job, at least early on. And Steel, Dylan, they've got a load of talent over there. I got Steel in this one as well. They do have some common opponents, but I think Steel is shaping up in the right direction. Now, this is the game, honestly, of the week for me. You got plenty of star power. in addition to star-studded teams. We got 5A D2, number 5 Lovejoy versus number 4 South Oak Cliff. Now, Dylan, I covered Lovejoy a couple weeks ago in these playoffs, thinking Parker Livingston was playing. Apparently, he's been hurt for pretty much the entire season, the Texas commit, so that was much to my chagrin, to say the least. But the news here is that Livingston is back this weekend, making Lovejoy one of the best receiving cores once again. I do have Lovejoy in this one. I believe I picked South Oak Cliff last weekend, so I don't want to say this is Golden Bear hate, but just Lovejoy with the weapons they have offensively. It's definitely going to be a tough game for the Golden Bears, but if there's any team that could beat Lovejoy, it is this South Oak Cliff team.
I get that. That's a load of talent, Devon, but I've got South Oak Cliff winning this game because they've had the consistency. They've been consistent with their wins, how they've been playing on both sides of the football. And they're just kind of on fire right now, proving us wrong. I like that this is kind of a flip from, I think, 2 years ago or last year where you were all on the South Oak Cliff train. I kept trying to pick against them, and they kept winning.
Yeah.
In this case, Golden Bears are my team this year, Devon. I hate to say it. I might have taken over, but I got them winning this game in an upset. Yeah. All right. Well, next one. This is a big one. The team I'm also high on. 4AD1, number 5, Stephenville against number 2, Anna. Devon, I don't know how to process this because Stephenville keeps proving me wrong, but Anna is my sleeper team that's now doing really well after a win last week, right? And Stephenville proved me wrong against Salina, winning, I believe, 7-3. So we'll see if Stephenville wins this. I don't want to say I'm going to jump off a cliff, but it's not looking too good. I got Anna winning this, staying consistent.
Yeah, this is a tough game, Dylan, because Stephenville, they've been up and down this year, but they keep on, just climbing up these playoff, schedule, now making it to round 4. I have Anna as well. They've also proved me wrong, I believe, earlier in the season, but I'm sticking with Anna here. I've been a changed man. And speaking of changed man, the next game we have, 4AD2, number 10, Gilmer versus number 1, Carthage. Carthage, you know my spiel. I got Carthage here.
Yeah, I've got Carthage as well. Next one, we got 3AD1, number 9, Paradise against number 4, Brock. This Brock team can put up points, Devon. I got them winning this.
I have Brock as well. Let's see how far they can go this season. The next game we have 3AD1, number 3, Winsboro versus number 2, Malakoff. Now, these are two pretty evenly stacked teams. Malakoff with a big win last weekend against Grandview, a big rival for them. Let's see if they can continue to get that adrenaline running this weekend. I got Malakoff.
Yeah, and they won handedly, too, against Grandview. So I got Malakoff as well. Win. Oh, yeah. Next one is 3AD1, number 8, Franklin. It's number 7, Lorena. Devon, Lorena's been playing lights out. I got them win this, too.
Yeah, Lorena with the big surprise last weekend, I believe, against Columbus, the number 1 ranked team. We did not get that right. But Lorena, maybe they can prove me right this weekend. I've got them in this game. Next game we got a ton of them. 3AD2, number 8, Wall versus number 2, Canadian. It's very patriotic that the Canadians were able to sneak into playoffs and go this far. But I'm continuing on here. Canada's been great to me. I got Canadian.
Well said, Devon, even though they're not from Canada. But, hey, they're playing really well, so I'll be going with them as well. And the next one, we got 3AD2, number 9, Jacksboro against number 1, Gunter. Devon, this Jacksboro team's playing well. They won last week. Obviously, they're here now, so that would explain it, right? But this Gunter team, it's a buzzsaw you're going up against. I think the buck stops here. I got Gunter.
Yeah, I have to agree. I also have Gunter. The next game we have 3AD2, number 6, Poth. Maybe I'm mispronouncing that. Maybe it's Poth. It's probably Poth. Poth versus number 3, Tidehaven. Oh, that was also one I spent some time looking at, Dylan. But Tidehaven, their point differential this year has just been insane. I got them.
Yeah, they've been winning very convincingly. It very much was a coin toss kind of pick here, but I think Tidehaven's got more of the body of work that you'd like to see in a team that you can kind of trust here. So I got them. Next we got 2AD1, number 6, Howley against number 4, Stratford. Another one that's going to be very close. Stratford's had some very key wins, obviously this postseason, but Howley, Devon, they're playing well. I like the players they've got. I've got them winning this in kind of an upset, looks like.
All right. Yeah, that's an upset. I got Stratford. I'm sticking with the general here. Next game we've got 2AD2, number 4, Collinsville versus number 1, Albany. Now, Dylan, this isn't Albany, New York. but they're playing Texas football here. I've got Albany.
Yeah, I got Albany as well. Next one we got 1A D1 number 7 Happy. No, sorry, Devin. 2A D2 number
Whoa,
5
getting a little ahead of yourself.
Love Lady against number 2 Mart. I've brought it back. Devin, Mart's back in it. I got them winning it.
Yeah, Mart is just they're just a dynasty pretty much in the high school football realm at that 2A D2 level. I got Mart as well. The next game we have, Dylan got a little ahead of himself. 1A D1.
Oh, yeah.
Happy versus number 4 Westbrook. This is a hard one because these are two of my favorite 1A teams, but I have Westbrook in this one.
Yeah, Devin, they put up 110 points last week in their win. Like, they are back to being Westbrook. Yeah, so I will be going with them. Next one, we got 1A D1. Number 5 is Jonesboro against number 1 Gordon. Jonesboro, again, another team kind of like Happy, where they've been proving us wrong or just winning consistently, pretty handedly, too, in good games. But they're going against number 1 Gordon. Gordon's look great. I'm expecting a Westbrook-Gordon matchup here next week. So I got Gordon.
I have Gordon as well. The next game we have 182, number 5 Klondike versus number 1 Benjamin. I have Benjamin.
I got Benjamin as well. Next one, we got 182, number 4 Richland Springs. It's number 2 Oglesby. Richland Springs is playing so well, Devin. They've been proving me wrong the entire time. I got them pulling off the upset here against Oglesby.
All right. I do not have the upset, but Richland Springs, of course, is a storied franchise. And if there's any team that can do it, it is them. But I have Oglesby. More importantly than our picks, what do you think about Texas's playoff odds, and which high school game will you be watching this weekend? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, have a great rest of your day.